Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Julia, I am a tarot coach, and in this video I would like to share some thoughts about the topic of the new year, which is the Lovers. Well, the Lovers is one of the most complex cards in the tarot deck. It has several aspects, dimensions and depths, and discussing them all would take a lot of time. For this reason, I have decided to pick some aspects that are, in my opinion, especially important and share some thoughts, hints and questions about them. I kindly ask you to consider this video, therefore, as a teaser, as a taster, and please feel free to complete those questions and aspects with your own thoughts. Because again, they are really huge for them all, and unfolding them in this short video would be kind of impossible. Alright then, having said this, let's get started. Well, the yearly card is the Lovers. We know this by using the numerology and adding the numbers up, so 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 2. And that's how we arrive at number 6 and at the Lovers. Well, the Lovers is one of the most beautiful cards. Take a look at the card. We can see on this card Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. They are still naked, and it shows that they can show here up with their authenticity, with their vulnerability, without any shame. Adam represents the conscious, rational mind. He looks at Eve. Eve represents the subconscious mind, the instincts and the heart, and she looks at the angel, which represents the superconscious mind. We also have here the snake and the apple tree, and in the background a mountain, which is a sign for that if I take a path, if I take the right path, it can take me to new heights. So this is very quickly about the symbolic of the card. And now let's take a look what all this card means. Well, as I have already mentioned, it means a lot of things, but in some bullet points I would say love, self-love, relationships, unity, harmony, values alignment, authenticity, crossroads and choice. These are all the topics of this card, and now let me emphasize some of them. Well, I will have to start with a big spoiler. If we talk about love, then first and foremost we have to talk about self-love. You may know this saying from the Bible, love your neighbor as yourself. In my opinion, it is a shame that more often than not we forget the second part of this sentence, which I think is the more important one. Because love starts with self-love. Why? Because as within, so without. It means that in case you want to experience more love, harmony and unity in your life and in the outside world, you have to start with yourself. Why? Because what you experience outside, it is actually a reflection and a projection of your subconscious program running within. And therefore, first you have to work on this program if you want to change your reality. Another reason why I think that self-love is the most important thing is that, of course, you cannot expect others to love you if you don't love yourself, right? And last but not least, the lack of self-love seriously damages your health. I speak from experience. I have paid a very high price from not loving myself, and since I have been working on self-love, my life has been improving like this significantly. And this is why I would like to focus on self-love. Well, as you may know, self-love has several aspects and dimensions, and now I would give you some teaser questions, some aspect that I think worth of thinking of, because they can help you towards more self-love and self-alignment. Well, again, self-love love starts with self-love, and that's why the first and foremost we have to ask ourselves, whether do I love myself? So how is my relationship with myself? Am I connected to myself at all? Do I have a relationship myself? Or am I running a life on autopilot, not really knowing who am I and what am I doing? Many of us do this, but this is a shame. Another interesting question is, whether do you know yourself? I know that this is a lifelong journey. However, if you start to work on this on purpose and you try to get to know yourself on purpose, then you will improve this, and with time you will get much more into alignment with yourself. Once you have realized that some parts of you are the part of your true nature and therefore cannot be changed, the question is whether you accept those parts or do you reject them. So this is the next interesting question. Do I accept myself? Who am I at this point? Or do I reject it? The question is here again, whether do I live with myself in harmony and unity, or in a state of internal split up, which is actually also illustrated by this card in my opinion, because I can consider these two figures also as like, you know, the representation of this internal split. Well, again, back to the question, do you accept yourself or no? Are you your best friend, your ally, or are you your enemy and you are rejecting yourself, which is very, very damaging again. You can also ask those questions like, in what ways do you dismiss or reject yourself? In what areas? What are the things and areas that you are not happy with, and how can you work on them so that you can get into more in alignment with yourself and you can accept yourself better? Another interesting question is, to what extent are you true to yourself? So do you know at all what do you need, and are you true to those needs? Do you fulfill your own needs? Do you take care of yourself or no? And spoiler alert, buying the 25th pair of shoes, it's not necessarily a good sign of self-love. Again, are you true to yourself, and are you living in alignment with your true nature, or are you chasing an image, creating an image, for example, in the social media, and living a life trying to fulfill expectations from the outside world and others? And we also have another interesting question, and this is about the values. This can go several ways. First, do you know your own value? I mean by this question, whether do you know, for example, what you are good at? Do you know what is to be loved in you? What are your skills and talents? Do you embrace or recognize those talents? Do you celebrate them, or you ignore them, telling yourself the story that it's nothing special, everyone else can do that, or the like? We love telling ourselves bullshit like this. So this is also an interesting thing to look at. And the other aspect of value is that what is important to you. So what are your own values? And this question brings us back to the previous card of the previous year, which is the Hierophant. The Hierophant is the milestone, the session when the sorting out of the values and beliefs happens. What does it mean? It means that it becomes clear for us what values and beliefs are truly ours, coming from a deep inner conviction, being part of the true inner nature, and which ones are kind of bullshit that we have maybe inherited or adopted from the outside world and the like. So once we have picked our very own values, the next session is the Lovers, which is about starting to embrace those values and to live them in terms of choices and actions. And this is actually what the Lovers is about, right? So again, this is about a value choice and a values alignment. And this brings us to another very important aspect of this card, and this is the choices, crossroads. So chances are that the new year you are going to face some of those choices. And these choices are very, very essential ones. In the case of the Tarot or the Lovers card, they are morally right and wrong choices. Meaning that in this case, there are not just two paths, two choices, option B and option 1, but there is a right one, which is true and in alignment with your true nature, and there is another one. And often this is a choice between the heart and the rational mind. And therefore it is not going to be an easy one, because we live in a world that celebrates the rational mind in this kind of masculine energy, and therefore it is not easy to follow the right path. That is something that it's better to remember in case you face a choice like this in the new year. Well, these were my initial thoughts regarding this topic, and now I would like to give you some tips and hints how to work with this. First and foremost, as I said, you can take a pen and paper, sit down and start to think about this question. You are not going to process them all during one afternoon. Instead of this, I recommend to get back to them from time to time, several times during the year, and not only during the year, but all the time, because self-knowledge and self-reflection is a lifelong journey, right? So make sure you start to work with those questions. Another interesting method, for example, is to use affirmations. So once you have identified some gaps in your self-love or some topics to work on or some issues, you can start to work with affirmations. I will give you an example. If you have realized that so far you didn't have the courage to go your own way, now you can create an affirmation for yourself saying that I have the courage to go my own way. You can write it down to a post-it and then to put it onto the mirror or onto the fridge or to some other places where you see it often. The point is that it is being formulated in a positive way and in your very own language, because this way you can also practice authenticity, right? And the reason why this affirmation work is that once you repeat something enough times, sooner or later it will become the new truth, right? So therefore it's a good way of rewriting your inner running program. There are, of course, tons of other possibilities how to work with yourself, how to get to know yourself better. You can go to therapy, you can do yoga, you can do a lot of things. I don't want to list them up all here because it is impossible. Instead, I would like to draw your attention to a superpower that you also have, and that is the wisdom of your body. Interestingly enough, the body always tells the truth. It has an inherent inner deep wisdom and intelligence. And if we learn to pay attention to that, we can open up a fantastic source of information for ourselves. Our body is talking to ourselves all the time. And interestingly enough, it is also the language of the heart. If I say, listen to your heart, it stays a cliche sentence, right? But the thing is that our heart is talking to us with the language of the body. So it means that if you learn to read your body, then you are going to know sooner or later what is true and what is not true for you. And that's why I really would like to encourage you to start to work with your body, to gain some more body awareness, because again, if you learn the language of your body, you can save some rounds for yourself. Again, I speak from experience. I have paid a very high price for not listening to my body and to my heart. I'm happy that I'm still here, and I would like to save these rounds for you. I will give you a very simple practice with which you can start. Put your hand on your heart and then first say a sentence which is true and then another one which is not true. And observe your body, what signs it gives to you while listening to those sentences. So what kind of feelings are affirming or are declining a sentence? This way you can start to get a feeling for that, how your body works for you. And of course there are tremendous other practices, again, like yoga and this and that. I really encourage you to pick some of them and start working with your body. And now, last but not least, I would like to emphasize an important thing. This is a path. This is a journey. And it means that it doesn't work like you know, it's not just a moment when I decide, okay, from now on, I'm going to be myself and I will go my own way. Yes, it is also great to make one big decision at a time, but please remember that this is a process. Self-alignment is a process and self-knowledge is a process. It is a wonderful journey and you make this journey step by step, making the decision of being true to yourself from time to time, every single time in the old days when you face a question or a decision. So this is how it works. And you will not always be able to know what is true for you, and you will not always be able to go for the right way. Sometimes you will fail. This is totally okay, and be patient with yourself. The point is to get aware of it, to start to work with it, and to make those decisions from time to time. And this is how you sooner or later slowly get into alignment with yourself. I can only speak for myself. Since I have been following this path, my life has been improving tremendously. I am still on the way. It is a bumpy road and more often I fail, but this is again part of the process. So these were my initial thoughts, and now I would like to close this with a short quote from Oscar Wilde. It goes like this: "Be yourself, everyone else is already taken." I love this sentence. I think this is very true. You are you, and the only person who can play this role of you is you. So I think it is a much better idea to be yourself than try to live someone else's life who is already actually taken. That's why I encourage you to go this way, knowing that it also means that not everyone is going to like you anymore, but you know what? It is totally okay. And by the way, this takes us to another side benefit of going your own way and being yourself, and that is the improvement, the significant improvement of your relationships to others. So this is a great perk of this, and this is also a reason why I think this is a great decision. So having said this, thank you very much for showing up, for being here. I am happy to see in the comments about what topic you would like to hear more. And now, again, thanks a lot for being here. Be yourself, love yourself, and see you around soon. Ciao!